The Sheridan Missile is arguably one of, if not the most coveted tanks in the entire game, outpacing even the greats like the Smasher or even that OG Kenyaatsu. And for very good reason, because as the name would suggest, the Sheridan Missile does shoot missiles, and that gives it a game mechanic that is not available on any other tank. It used to be available in the Tech Tree Sheridan, but after some balance changes that got removed from the Tech Tree Sheridan, which is why this tank even exists. And so naturally, when the possibility arises to actually obtain this tank yet again, I have to talk about it because this tank is really fun. Now, before I show you how to get it, a quick note, it is a bit of a grind, but it is only available in fun mode. So that means regular and rating are off the table. Other than that, though, you pretty much can run this in any mode with maybe the exception of one, though I'm not entirely sure about that. So now let's go ahead and take a look at how to get this, and it is through an event. Now, the event started yesterday, and it lasts for a sum total of 10 days. Now, there are some other things in the event, but I will talk about the Sheridan Missile first, as I have a feeling that's probably why most of you here are watching this video. So, the way to get through the event is you need to get victories, and depending on the conditions of those victories, you'll get these currencies. I believe they're called missiles. But basically, you need to get missiles to progress through the levels until you can get to the big fat Sheridan Missile. Now, the way you get these, of course, like I said, is through victories, but there's different conditions. So you get 2 of these missiles for victories in regular and rating battles. No extra stuff, just pure and simple, a win in normal rating is going to give you 2 of these missiles. And now keep in mind that does have to be tier 4 to tier 10, so that is something to note. You will get 3 missiles for wins in fun modes, and I actually really like this because fun modes, oftentimes the battles just run longer, so to get more of these is definitely nice. You don't necessarily have to jump out of your favorite fun mode to go grind this event with any hope of actually completing it. And then if you are winning in a Sheridan Missile, like if you're actually running the Sheridan Missile, naturally you'd have to be in a fun mode, and you win, you'll get 4 of these missiles. So all in all, to get to the Sheridan Missile, you're going to need, at the start, 280 missiles, which is, like a fair amount. If you were to go the route of just winning in regular battles, and that's 2 per, then you're going to be looking at 140 wins. Divided by the 10 days, that's 14 wins a day, which is a lot, I will admit, but for something as unique as it's obviously growing less unique, but something as popular as the Sheridan Missile, 14 wins a day is not what I would consider completely outrageous. It is a lot, but I do think it's somewhat warranted because obviously Wargaming doesn't want these absolutely everywhere. Now, that is 14 wins a day, and that's going to depend on you as a person. If you somehow magically have a 100% win rate and somehow aren't cheating, that would be 14 games. However, the more likely scenario, averaging out, you're probably somewhere on average around the 50% win rate mark. That would mean you got to double it, so that's going to be 28 battles a day. So if you're a little worse, it's probably going to be like 30, maybe even 36 battles a day. If you're a better player or more skilled player, you're probably looking like 22. It is going to vary a little bit, but on average, 50%, just automatically double the games. That's going to leave you with 28 games. And that is per day, so that'd be like 280 games. So that is how you would calculate that. Now, in case you are running in fun modes, and keep in mind, the amount of time that it takes to do a fun mode is going to have an effect on this. But if we take that 280 that it takes to get the Sheridan Missile and divide that by 3, we are now looking at, how do I collapse that? We are now looking at 93 games total, which obviously if we divide that by 10 is going to give us like 9.3 per day. So 9.3 games per day, and again, if we times this by 2, because we're assuming a 50% win rate, that's going to leave you with, sorry, I divided by 2, let's just fix that. That's going to leave you with just shy of 19 games. So if you're playing fun modes and you want to get to the end, you can expect to be playing about 19 games a day. in fun modes, it has to be fun modes, so like 19 games a day, fun modes, is going to usually end up getting you the Sheridan Missile. That's assuming, again, a 50% win rate. I'll redo that calculation just so that it's super clear. Again, with the first one, you just take the number that it is total, which is 280, and then you're going to be dividing it by how many missiles you're going to be getting per win, and then you're going to be figuring out based on your win rate what it's going to be. And again, we've been assuming it's going to be 50%, which means we naturally have to times this by 2. And then you divide by the total number of days of the event, 28. So that's 28 games a day, assuming it's just regular. And again, to assume that you're playing fun modes, we've got to go 280, then we divide by 3 equals, and then we could, again, divide by 10 here too, and then times 2. A little bit fancy math equations, but basically what it's going to end up meaning is this calculator is acting very weird. That has nothing to do with the event, but anyway, 19 games a day, roughly, assuming, again, a 50% win rate. Win rate is going to play the biggest part in modifying this. I'm just giving a generality. And then, now let's assume you were playing the Sheridan Missile, which means you get 4 per game. So 280 divided by the 4 that you're getting per game. And then we're going to be timing that by the modifier that our win rate provides, again, assuming 50, that's going to be 2. And then we're going to divide by the number of days of the event, 14. So yeah, 14 games a day in the Sheridan Missile on average. I mean, yeah, granted, this event is for the Sheridan Missile. Now, I will say, if you have the Sheridan Missile already, there's really no reason to grind for this thing, because I am pretty sure that at most, like if you're trying to get gold out of this, the most amount of gold you can get out of this, I think, is like 10. 10 gold is not a whole lot for that much grind. However, if you don't have the tank, totally worth it. That is why there are 2 tracks here. But now that we've talked about the Sheridan Missile and kind of broken down how it works, let's now go ahead and take a look at the other things in here, because there's actually 2 other tanks completely for free, and those tanks aren't bad. They're actually pretty decent. One is definitely better than the other, and I'll explain which one that is. But let's start at the first level. This one contains screens. Now, the screens are for a different event going on, that is the anniversary event, which still has 40 days left on it. As you can see, I've progressed pretty much nowhere. But this is where the screens go and how they'll play a key part into this particular event. So it is a currency in one event that is actually meant for the other, and you can see this on level 4 as well, 390 and 390. And then on level 2, we have the remote control. This is for something, again, related to something else. I believe it has to do with the screens in the back here. Go ahead and check your storage. You might already have a few of these accumulated. There we go. I've got a few of them there. So that's what that is. And then moving on after that, we get to the first tank. And this is the PZIVS. Now, I have to say that this tank in Tier 6 is one of my favorite, probably not my favorite tank, but it is definitely up there. It is a very, very solid tank, and of course, on level 5, you actually get the special camouflage for it, which is, TIE Fighter, definitely. I mean, the camouflage name is open parenthesis -O closing parenthesis. It's very clear that they wanted to call this the TIE Fighter camouflage, but due to copyright, they couldn't. Either way, it's just a solid tank. It's not the fastest, but it's got a good gun. It actually has some pretty troll armor, and it's pretty nasty when it comes to its damage per minute. Next after that, we've got 5 3x multipliers. Unless you're grinding through a tank line, these are usually pretty much not all that useful. They are there, though, so if you are grinding down a tank line, that's super cool. And then we come to the Explorer. Now, the Explorer is basically a copy-paste of the Cromwell, but I would say, for me personally, it feels a little worse than a Cromwell. This isn't a horrendous tank, but compared to, say, the PZIVS that we just looked at, it's not even close. I would put this one, if I was, like, ranking this, I'd probably give it, like, a C or a B. Like, it's not garbage, but it's definitely not that cream of the crop that the PZIVS is. Still solid. You'll notice that the wheels look like they're on tires. it feels like driving on tires in the game. I don't know if they like changed the physics of it or whatever, but it actually feels like driving around on tires, even though it's technically tank treads. But yeah, it's basically just a slightly worse Cromwell. I think it might have slightly better like facial armor. But of the two, I would definitely say that the PZIVS is better. And considering it's only 25 missiles to get, that's honestly pretty cool. And then last, well, not the last level, but the last single track level is the 15 gold boosters. And those are pretty cool because even in a loss, you get 10 gold. So assuming worst case scenario, you lost every single game that you had in here, 15 means you're going to get 150 gold, which is definitely nice to get, especially if you're just casually grinding through the game. And now we've already talked about the Sheridan Missile. Now let's go ahead and take a look at this mighty haul. Now I have a feeling this is probably going to have, yeah, camouflages, attachments, and credits. There are 2 camouflages in here that are of particular interest though, so I will focus on those. The rest of this, they're pretty normal, but these 2 camouflages are very nice. They definitely look better on PBR tanks. Now I personally wish that the camouflage was over a black background instead of this tan, this mud color. I do think it could have served better to have just have it be black. I mean, it would have looked cooler, it would have made the flames pop more, but this is a very interesting camouflage, and I think I might even have one. And then there is the the yellow camouflage. Basically same story, same background, it's just yellow flames. And these are called the Missile Salvo and the Missile Arsenal. Yeah, so given their names, these did come out with the very first Sheridan Missile event that ever came out into the game, which was like 3 years ago now. Dang, it's been a while. But anyway, that is the event for the Sheridan Missile. That is how to obtain it. Hopefully all that made sense. Basically, just bare bones of it. You just got to look at how many victories that you want to get, what type of victories, and of course figure out based on how many days left how much you need to grind for the Sheridan Missile. All in all, if you grind an absolute ton, I'm sure most people can get this. And especially being that it is summertime and the majority of the players in this game probably would have school otherwise, this is probably the perfect time to actually obtain this tank. But anyway, with that, I hope you all enjoyed, and as always, have fun, good luck, and happy tanking.